Hi, and welcome back to the HSP Connection with me, Robbie Lee.
And me, Philippa Robinson. This is where we share our stories, insights, and strategies to help fellow highly sensitive people navigate their own path to living a fulfilling and meaningful life.
We're on a mission to reclaim the word sensitive and help the world see the strength in sensitivity. Philippa, my friend, what are we talking about today?
Well, so this is the 15th episode that we have done in our healing series. And when I told you earlier that it was the 15th, you're like, wow, have we done that many? Well, we have.
I know. I didn't realize it had been that many. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we started planning, or when the idea for this series came to us, we didn't plan it all out, did we? We've just let it unfold, and it's unfolded beautifully, really. Mm-hmm. And we've had some wonderful guests, and we've enjoyed doing the alternate weeks and having our great conversations about healing. And what we didn't realize for ourselves, I think, when we started this series, is that we would be experiencing more layers of our own healing as we have gone through these 15 weeks. So we thought we'd come here today and talk about what we've been noticing, what's been going on for us, which is why I think we're calling this the onion of healing, just because we've both been peeling off another layer, really, of our own healing. So that's what we decided we would come and talk about, didn't we?
Yes. And I love it. I'm really excited because you're right. Like, I mean, I knew one of my focuses this year for me was health and healing, different aspects of that. But like you said, there have been things that happened things that have healed or healing that I didn't count on. And that's been really fun to discover. Yeah.
Yeah. It really has, hasn't it? And, I feel like I've done quite a bit of healing. I would never say I'm done, never, because I don't think you ever are. And I didn't expect to experience my own epiphanies, which is just been wonderful. So, now we're busy thinking, right, what do we need next? So we can focus on that for the next series. But anyway, we'll come on to that. We'll come on to the next series later. So, where shall we start? Do you want to start us off? Is that okay?
Yeah, I can certainly. Yeah. Well, I recently took a trip to be with my parents and my grandma, and there's definitely something about going back into the family structure, right? That can bring up some things. And I mean, I do just want to say for the record, I don't think my parents will ever hear this, or anybody they know will hear this, but I want to say they are lovely people. They have lots of friends. They're good in the community. They're great neighbors, and they're human and I'm human, right? And we don't always, speak the same language, and we don't always give each other what we need, even though there's lots of love between us.
Yeah. Can I just say, before you carry on, thank you for saying that. Because I think it's really important, because very few of us, especially highly sensitive people, grow up with highly sensitive people who understand their own sensitivity, understand our sensitivity, and can really nurture us in that. So thank you. I think that you've just set that up really well. And I'm sure there are lots of people, me included, who are going, yep, totally get that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And I, in planning for the trip, I set some intentions. Like I wanted to invite love. I wanted to love myself there. I wanted to be loving toward my family. And I took a page out of our friend Brene Brown's book, which she says something to the effect of, like, don't puff up, don't shrink. And I wanted to do that. Like, I just wanted to be me and be in their presence, because often I grew up shrinking. I didn't realize that's what I was doing. And then as an adult, going back in their presence, I kept finding myself doing that. And I was like, yeah, I don't need to do that. But I also don't want to be mean, which is how I've in the past have tried not to shrink. It's just by being, it's like, let me go in the attack then. So you can't shrink me, it's like, well, that doesn't feel good either. I didn't want to do that. And it was really, it was really interesting. Like first of all, let me say this, the work that I've been doing on my, nervous system came in clutch for this trip. I mean, I think when you and I were chatting a little bit ahead of time before this, you said something like I was more resourced before I went down. And I was like, yes. And I could tell. And so I'm bringing that up to say, for anyone who is like, I don't have the time, or it's not worth it, or whatever the voice might say, the time and energy that you spend on you for your own health and healing, it comes back and serves you. It allows you to show up differently and more yourself.
Yeah.
At least that is my experience.
Yeah.
Right? Which was everything for me. Yeah. I don't want to just keep rambling on, but I can launch into some specifics.
Yeah, well, you're not rambling. You're not rambling at all. And let's come on to some specific in a minute. Yeah. But when I said to you, it sounds like you were better resourced before you even left. Yeah. And you probably didn't even realize that's what you were doing, but that is the reality of it. And a lot of that is the nervous system work that you've been doing, and just generally being there for yourself and being compassionate and kind. Oh, I nearly made a new word up there, putting kind and compassionate together. Being more kind and compassionate and loving towards yourself.
100%. All that self-compassion, self-love work that I continue to do, like it keeps growing. It's just like a continual growth thing, and it pays off more and more. Yeah. And the work I've been doing on my system and working with different healers and working in different ways on my whole being, like all of that is working together, and it's helping.
It is, isn't it? Tell us about what you were telling me about sort of the space.
Yeah.
Because I think this is really wonderful.
So one of the things that has been true for me really my whole life, and I think a lot of HSPs can relate to this. Like, we go into a space and it's kind of like, ooh, what's expected of me here? And you just kind of put on the show is kind of what I call it, And so it's like kind of try to match the energy of whatever is there and try to, just fit with what's going on. And, I've done that my whole life. To the best of my ability. It's not like I can always gather the resources to do it, but I've done it to the best of my ability. And this time I was just like, I just want to be me. Like, I just want to be me. And I didn't know exactly what that meant, but what I found is a lot of times I would be sitting with one of my parents or my grandma. And in the past, I would have felt the need to fill a silence. I would have felt the need to engage in a specific way. And what I found myself doing instead was just saying, well, what am I feeling into? What am I noticing? What do I want? And when I wanted to just be silent, I was. But what I found is also I was actively, and I noticed this and was aware of, like, I would actively put things into the space, like a loving energy and gratitude and peace. And I was like, yeah, sitting and being quiet is still, is still an activity, an active thing for me, because I was actively putting love into this space. I was actively, it was very HSP-y for me, because a lot of it, like example, I would sit with my grandma and we would be outside and just be noticing nature together, often silently. And then one of us would say something but it wasn't like constant need to fill every second with noise. And it was really lovely. And I thought, yeah, I'm actually bringing something to this space.
Yeah.
By embracing who I am as an HSP, instead of trying to be what I thought people wanted me to be, like what I thought the world was saying I needed to be. I was just like, well, I'm just going to embrace who I am, which is an introverted, highly sensitive person, and I'm going to connect on those energy levels that I'm feeling, and not just run my mouth for the sake of filling a space. And it was, that alone was really healing for me.
Yeah, I love that. So on so many levels, I'm guessing, because that's you leaning more into your HSP strength and noticing that. And, how wonderful is it to understand that you weren't just sitting there doing nothing. You were absolutely doing something energetically.
Yes.
And you were doing that from love for yourself, love for nature, love for your grandma, love for whoever else you were sitting with at the time. And you were being you.
Yeah.
That's what you needed, what you wanted, a big part of who you are in that moment. And noticing that the great thing that you were doing. So it's just healing on quite a few levels there, isn't there?
It really was. Yeah. And what,
how amazing to notice all that.
Thank you. Yeah, that was part of it. Part of the healing, I think, was noticing it, acknowledging to myself, oh, this is what I'm doing. And it is the actual helpful thing into the space.
Yeah.
And it allowed me then to be really present with whoever I was with, not on guard, heightened sense of, which was how I grew up being. What are they going to need? And I need to anticipate, and not that kind of, but just because I was so grounded in me. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah.
Then when they showed up, I could just meet them there and be curious and be like, oh, yeah, it's interesting.
What you said there was that by giving yourself what you needed, by being you in that moment, by taking what you needed was a quiet moment in nature. Putting all that together enabled you to be more present in the moment, which meant you were more available to meet the other people who came into that space where they were.
100%.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Right? I know. Yeah. And I will say too, at one moment, my mom, I'm trying to remember the entire thing of what she said, and I'm not going to grab all of it, but she was commenting on how all three of them wanted to spend time with me. And she said, she acknowledged the peace that I was bringing into this space. And I thought, thanks, Mom, for seeing that. I mean, I think my mom is very highly sensitive, but doesn't, is unregulated and doesn't know about it. It felt nice to be seen for the peace I was bringing. Like, I was like, oh, wow, thanks. And valued, seen and valued.
Valued, yeah. Do you think your grandma might be highly sensitive?
Yeah. I mean, I do think, yes.
Yeah.
We've got a line of us. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you're healing back through all that lineage as well.
Yeah.
Let's get a bit woo. Wow.
Well, I'm here for the woo. You know
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just think that is such a massive step. And you know, to anybody who is listening to this, I hope you appreciate that it is a big step. I hope you've experienced something like this yourself. And if you haven't, I hope you will do. But it's really, you know, this is why a lot of the time we bang on about slowing down and working out what you need so that you can then be more available for others. And that's a really brilliant example that you've given us there, Robbie, of what happens when we can do that.
Yeah, the payoff.
Yes.
Because there is a payoff. Yeah.
There is.
Like I was able to be very present with them.
Yeah.
And I also I don't want to, it was hard. Like there were times that were hard and I was exhausted by the end.
It wasn't all roses and
it wasn't all
butterflies.
roses. Right. Exactly. And I always want to say that to people because we're here to be real. Right.
Exactly.
And even though all those things are true, I had these amazing moments that I haven't been able to have before.
Yeah.
And I stayed the longest I have with them in maybe 2 decades. I mean, a long time.
Wow.
And I was more resourced at the end of it than I have been at shorter stays. So like, you know, I'm seeing it's working. It's working. Yeah. It's not, things aren't perfect because we're all human,
exactly.
But it is working. I'm seeing it. Yeah.
And, you know, you shared with us in this healing series your health journey as well. Yeah. So, you know, it's big that you went and did all this. And as you say, came back better resourced than you've been able to come back before. So that's a really big thing as well.
Yeah. It was a measuring stick for me.
Yeah.
Truly. And I will say, like, I knew that I would need some time to kind of process the trip and to give my body some rest and restoration. And I planned for that. And I was proud of myself for doing that, you know, and I did need that. And I took it and it was helpful and part of my healing. It's part of what I need to do so that then I can keep showing up for the people I love.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And as you've been talking, you've made me understand something that happened for me just this weekend, just gone, actually. So I've been to family for a big birthday party, a 70th birthday party. And, you know, my normal way of being in these things is to work the room and, you know, be the life, not the life and soul. I don't mean that, but make sure I speak to everybody. And, you know, because it was somebody very close to me who was the birthday person. And I'd heard a lot about a lot of people there and I wanted to meet them. I also knew that they kind of had heard about me. So they were going, oh, you're Philippa. So there was a lot of that going on. So it was a lot. Mm-hmm. And I found myself towards sort of like the end of the afternoon, so perhaps 3 or 4 hours in, you know, going outside and sit out, you know, they had a swinging seat in the garden and going and sitting out there. And just taking some moments because there was a bit of a lull and it felt like that's what I needed. And I didn't feel strange. I didn't feel like I shouldn't be doing it. I went with the intention of just having a moment. And there were other people in other bits of the garden and I could have gone to talk to them, but I purposely went to sit on this swinging seat by myself. And I didn't think, oh, I need to resource myself or I need some quiet time, but I just went and did that. You know, so trusted.
Yes.
You know, just followed what my gut was telling me, go and do this. And that really did help me recharge. And actually what happened is my 2 teenagers came out and they saw I was there and we all sat on the swing together and actually had a really nice quiet, having a bit of a laugh, but swinging and just having quite a nice time together. And I wouldn't have had that moment with them had I not been there. Because I was busy mingling with everybody. So, that it made me realize that what appeared to be a random moment was probably much more intentional than I thought it was.
Yes. And that highlights, I'm trying to find but like it highlights the HSP experience, I think, which is we do these things because there's this pull within us. It's our own wisdom, right? Saying, and oftentimes we're not aware, we don't think about it. I love that you're now able to go, oh yeah, that's what was happening. My system was like, let's take a break here and let's rejuvenate a little bit and let's rest and and that you listen to it, because I'm sure there could have been another voice going, well, you should really keep talking to people. Exactly. You don't want to appear, fill in the blank, right? Exactly. Whatever the other messages that we've gotten. Yeah. So yay to you. And then you created this lovely space for you and your boys that you had this moment you wouldn't have had.
Exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then when we all went back into the party sort of, I mean, I don't know about them, but I was much more able to re-engage then. It's, but I do remember sitting there thinking, I don't feel guilty about this. I don't feel weird. I don't feel strange. This is what I need to do. And that is completely okay.
Yes. And I love that gets me excited, because I feel like the more that we model these types of behaviors, it gives people permission to do what they need as well. And I think people in general need more quiet and spaciousness than our modern world is giving us. I mean, we as highly sensitive people need more than less sensitive people, but I really think most people need more quiet and spaciousness. And so as we model taking that, right, we're showing we don't have to always go. We don't have to always be go, talk, loud. Like we can all take these rejuvenation moments, which makes us better.
Exactly. Us better. Yeah. And say I think there were about 35 people there. So I was not the only highly sensitive person.
No.
I could stab a guess at who maybe a couple of the others were, and then the rest, I'm not sure. But, there may even have been as many as 10 highly sensitive people. There certainly would have been, I don't know, 5 or 6. So, you're absolutely right that the more we can lean into that and do what is good for us, it is giving generally more permission for anybody who needs, not that it's up to me or you to give permission, but we are modeling that is okay. And by us being okay in it, and not feeling weird and not feeling strange and not feeling guilty and not like feeling like we've got to sneak off. I mean, I was doing it right in the middle of everybody.
Yes.
I didn't sneak off for and please, anybody who's listening, who the only way they can do it is sneak off, that is fine. Please sneak. It's much more important that you go off and get your time. I'm just saying, for me, that was the first moment. You telling me your story, Robbie, has made me realize that is probably one of the first moments where I have intentionally done that and felt completely okay about it.
It makes me so happy for you.
It makes me happy too.
Yes. And honestly, I feel like you doing all of that for you, it also I think it also helps the space, energetically. So if we're going to talk, woo, and I don't have all the why, but it's a feeling, because it's like because things can start to feel frenetic, or people are feeling tired, or, just like, oh, there's a lot of peopling happening, right?
Yes.
And you might not have the words, but you feel something in your body, and you adding calm to the space, like for you.
Yes.
Put that calm into the space also. Like,
yeah. And, because actually there were some quite boisterous little groups going on, and it's like, okay, go and join that if you want, but there is, you don't have to be like that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it too. Hi. If you're enjoying listening to this podcast, have you thought about joining our HSP Connection community for more connection with other HSPs? Because really, us HSPs thrive in the community of others.
Absolutely. And Philippa and I have created this space on an online platform where we can connect with each other deeply. We're going to have these awesome conversations, and we would love to get to know you over there in that space.
We would. So if you're interested and want to join straight away, there's a link in the show notes. And if you'd like to have a chat with either of us beforehand, please reach out. Now, back to the episode.
I will say one of the things for me, boundaries came up and in a different way than they had before, which helped me see again, like, oh, I'm on a different level. I don't know what the word is. The deeper healing. I'm not sure, but it highlighted some healing for me. And some of that was because I for myself, set some intentions like I talked about. But then that kind of gave me a framework in the moment to be like, okay, is this loving? How do I not shrink here? What does not shrinking look like? And there were times when I just quietly went about and did something for myself because I'm like, yeah, it would be loving for myself to do X, and I would just do it. There are also times when I voiced some needs of a boundary for myself in the most loving way I possibly could. And, the little Robbie could not have set a boundary. Like it didn't feel safe to do that in my household.
Yeah.
Right. It was, it was a big deal for me to be able to even voice a boundary in a loving manner. Cause I'm not going to say that as a teenager and a 20-something, I wasn't like screaming my boundaries, but that's not what I wanted to do. There was one moment when, it's interesting. This is body related. I hadn't shared this with you yet. It just occurred to me, but there was, my dad likes to just comment about everything. And when I say comment, the undertone of that really is judge, judges everything. And part of me, because I was able to love myself in the presence of that, it made me feel compassionate toward him because I thought, if all this judging is coming out, it's only because it's inside. And I thought, wow, that's got to be painful in there to be the constant judge. There's no winning. There's no winning it. There's no winning. But in the midst of that, my dad had made a comment about, my mom and grandma and I had gone for a walk, and he was commenting about it. And I think my mom brought it up because it was kind of like, oh, let us present this thing that you will find positive. So you will positively judge us about this. And I was like, oh, no. And I said, yeah, no, we don't need to talk about that. And that was a boundary for me because I'm just like, I don't need you judging my level of exercise. I don't need you commenting on my body. You haven't gotten curious about what I'm doing to try to heal myself. I certainly don't need your judgment about it, even though I know the root of that is love. Like, you want me to be well.
Yeah.
And you have your ideas of what that looks like, what I need to be doing in order for that to happen. So I know the root of it is love, but I said it without even thinking. And then I was like, oh yeah, good for me. Like, that felt nice because it wasn't quit talking about my fucking, it wasn't any of that, which again, my teenagers might've said something like that. It was just like, yeah, we don't need to talk about that. And that was it. It was a light. And I was like, okay, thank you. Yeah. That felt very loving toward myself. And it was a loving boundary. And that one was respected, which was extra wonderful,
That's amazing.
There was another politics boundary that wasn't, yeah. Man, politics are rough. And all I wanted to do was just not talk about it because we don't agree. And I don't need to, I have no desire to try to change their mind, but I also don't want them to try to change mine. Let's just respect each other.
Yeah.
And my dad just he just can't help himself. I don't know what it is. But so I had a moment where I had set a boundary around, hey, how about we just don't talk about that? And he's like, yeah, okay. And then he announced he was going to talk politics. And I was like, oh, yeah, we agree we weren't going to do that. So let's not. And then he just kept doing it. So I had this moment where I'm sitting there going, okay, I set a boundary and it's not being respected. So now what are my options? And I was completely just doing this in my head. Like my dad's talking and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not there with you. I'm here with me. And I was with myself. I'm just realizing I was with myself and that alone was a win, right?
Exactly.
Because I'm like, what do I need right now? Because I thought, okay, well, I could go, I set a boundary and I'm not doing this and I could leave. And that honestly might be right sometimes. Like people, please do what you need to do to be healthy and safe for you. For me, that didn't feel like what I wanted to do. It's just like, it felt like it was adding fuel to something that I didn't want to fuel. So I'm like, yeah, that doesn't feel right. I'm like, well, I guess I could quietly get up, but there was no way of doing that without it being a thing. Sometimes you can just slip out of a room and it's like, oh, no one's even know. That wouldn't have been the case. And so then I thought, you know what? Well, I'm just going to keep being in here with me because I don't have to engage with what's going on out there. I was already clear I didn't want to. I've done it lovingly, and now I'm going to be in here. But it wasn't what felt really healing and different about it for me was it was a choice that I made to just go inside, not a response, like a knee-jerk response, which is
shrinking.
A shrinking.
Yeah.
Yes. It was it wasn't a shrinking, but it was a choice to be like, well, I'll just be in here with me. That's cool. Dad, obviously he needs to talk about that. So we'll let him do that. But I'll just be in here and not engage with that. And that felt different for me. I was able to maintain my peace, I guess, is what felt good without shrinking, without bigging up. And
so without armoring up and puffing up and without shrinking, it feels a bit like you were in the energy, like, when we talked about the Are You in Your Body episode and we talked about your energy inside you, it feels like you were inside there with you while this passed in a way. And that was what felt right to you in that moment.
Exactly. And as you were talking about that, I was just like, and it enabled me to not have to make my dad wrong.
Yeah.
Like I definitely had the thought, I'm just like, oh, wow, he's not respecting my boundary at all. And that didn't feel good. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, that was great. It wasn't. Like, I'm just like, I wish he had been able to respect my boundary. But I also, I didn't have to put energy toward, how dare you? And it was just like, well, he is obviously not able to, for whatever is going on within him right now. He's not able to. And I'm safe. Like, I'm okay. So I don't have to make him wrong and do a thing, And sometimes I think it's appropriate. So I don't want people to hear what I'm saying and be like, the way I responded is the template. I'm saying that I was doing a lot of checking in with me in the moment and what I needed and responding that way. So I think sometimes it's probably appropriate to voice things and to be like, no. And sometimes that's very appropriate. So those of you listening, please hear that. I'm not, but my whole point is listen to what you need.
Yeah. And what feels right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Because also this is still very much practice for you, isn't it?
This is new.
The boundaries with your parents. I mean, to have gone in and, your parents are quite elderly as well. So you might never get them to respect a boundary that you put in place, but you will carry on trying to do that, and you will carry on holding yourself safe and good in those situations, which is healing for you. And you bring in for want of the better word, you bring in the fire to that is not really going to do anything for your relationship with your parents, which is not what you want to do at this time of their life.
That's beautifully spoken. Thank you. Yes, that's exactly right. And there have been times in our relationship where I needed to add fire to it for myself.
Exactly.
But you're right. It's just like the time we are now, it's not what I want to do.
No.
And not only that, it's not what I need.
No, exactly. That is the most important thing.
Take care of me.
Yes.
What was so amazing for me about this is it's like I have preferences on how what I wish they would say and what I wish they would do, but I don't need it anymore because I can meet my own needs. And I was like, what? Like that is the healing. Like that is the healing for me. Another huge layer of it. And I think I said to you, I was able to love myself in their presence. And it's just.
Wow. I'm in quite a reaction to that. That's huge.
Yeah.
That you can still want that, whatever it is that you still want from them, but you don't need it anymore because you're giving that to yourself.
Yes.
I mean, that is absolutely all the work that I do with all my clients. So it's working out what you didn't get and finding a way of giving it to yourself. And that has been utterly transformational for me as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Woo!
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Very exciting.
We're doing it.
Yeah. And who knew that this was,
that's exactly what I was going to say.
That this is all happening at the same time as I think that the healing, when we chose healing as a series, it felt really good to both of us. And little did we know that it was going to bring, I mean, it's not a total surprise, is it? But we didn't come into it thinking it was going to bring us another level of healing. And it has.
I think what's so cool about it is like the way because I think on some level, like, I mean, again, like my intention this year is on health and healing, but I didn't think that my focus on like healing my nervous system and figuring out more things with my body and giving it more healing, that would then help me love myself in the presence of my parents. You know what I mean? Like the way that it unfolds is what's so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Because I haven't. No, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, and this is probably going to have a healing effect on your health as well.
100%.
Because it's all, it
can't help. I can't not. It's all connected. Yeah. What I was going to say is like, at no point in my healing journey this year was I saying things like, okay, I want to get better about boundaries. I want to keep getting better about loving myself. I want to have a different relationship when I'm with my parents. Like none of that. But because it's all connected, like the intent, like the way that I have been focusing on me is a loving act, right? And so, yeah, it's just that I don't have all the words, but it is clearly all connected and very cool. It's very cool.
It is. For me, it's fundamental that you start with the relationship with yourself. 100%. And then the ripple effect is you can then take that more healed, there's always more healing, but that, the current level healed us, we can take that into our relationships with other people. And, we can keep doing that,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I've talked in a previous episode, I won't go on about it too much, about what happened at work when I had I was beginning to panic at work a few weeks ago, and I realized I was having this really big reaction, and I took myself outside to eat my lunch on a bench outside. And when I was out there, I realized I just needed to leave. And because of the way I'm quite flexible with work, I could do that. And I didn't really question it too much. And I just left. And allowing myself to do that helped me see what was going on, that I was being triggered into a response from childhood of feeling responsible for everything. Nobody else has got it. It's all going to be down to me to sort it. I've got to keep everybody else safe, and I don't feel safe. And so really understanding that is what was happening. It wasn't about what was going on at work. It is about what was going on at work, but it was more about my reaction to it and what it was triggering from the past.
Yeah.
And that is still very much with me, and is still, because sort of the field that when I'm not coaching and I'm not doing this great podcast with you and all those things, I still work a sort of corporate-ish type job. And I get thrown into situations like that quite often. And I definitely feel I am dealing with them better on a daily basis on the back of what happened, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago now. And that has very definitely been a healing for me. To be able to step away from it, to soothe myself, to understand what was going on, and to realize that I'm not responsible for everything. There are plenty of other adults who are capable of taking responsibility for their own bit. And that's been massively healing for me. It probably seems like from the outside that I've stopped interfering, or I've stopped fixing, or stopped trying to save everybody. I mean, there is very definitely elements of those, but it doesn't come from where I think some people might think it comes from, which is I want to be in control. I want to be telling people where they're going wrong. I do want to be in control, but I want to be in control because I don't feel safe. It's all coming from a lack of safety.
Yes.
So what I did was take myself, come on, Philippa, let's go. Let's go and help you feel safe again. And I took myself home and soothed myself. And it's like, it's and that was incredibly healing. It's definitely another level for me, though.
Yes. I mean, I'm just celebrating you. And as you were talking about that, I had this visual of little Philippa sitting out on the bench, because that's usually what happens in these situations. Like when we're triggered, it's little us like going, I'm not safe, right? We're back there. But then adult you took little Philippa's hand and said, come on, let's go feel safe. You're okay.
Yeah.
And you met yourself there, and you gave yourself what you needed instead of demanding it from the people around you who couldn't have met your need. But that's often what we try to do, right? It's just like, well, I'm feeling unsafe and it's your fault, and so you need to fucking change. That's what we do. And you're like, okay, I'm feeling unsafe. I'm gonna go help myself feel safe.
Yeah.
I mean, life changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a work environment, in a work situation, that's very different for me. I think I can employ that. I've been able to employ that before in other areas of my life, but to do it there was definitely another sort of level. So yeah, that was incredible.
And I'm going to take it out to the macro, like I like to do. Imagine a workplace where this is how people behave, right? So when their own triggers come up, because hello, we're human. And so these we are going to get triggered. But then the people they have enough wherewithal that they're able to then do what they need to get what they need in the moment without, their hurt self screaming out into the environment, which we see a lot of.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah, absolutely right. I've definitely worked with people like that. Don't work so much with people like that now, which is why I work where I work and not where I used to work. But yeah, absolutely. I don't actually know if anybody from where I currently work listens to this. I think one person did. So if you did, here's your permission. If you do, I mean, listen to this. Here's, not that you need my permission, but, do what you need. I mean, I do say that all the time at work, look after yourself.
Yes.
So I took my own advice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's big.
Cheers. It is. Did we have any more?
I feel like I did have another one, but then I forgot what it was.
I had the one that I shared with you about my understanding.
Yeah, will you share that?
Yeah.
Because it's big.
Well, so, I've always, I come from a family of addiction, and my addiction has always been food and overworking, really. So the overworking society tells me is great. The eating society tells me not so great. And I had this I don't know, I can't remember what was happening that made this thought come to me, but this thought came to me completely out of the blue only last week. And I really can't remember, but I remember as a kid I had chicken pox, and my mother used to say to me, don't scratch them because you'll get scars. And the implication from that was scars are not pretty, or you don't want to be scarred. Sure. Anyway, let's put it that way. And so I was trying really hard not to scratch these really itchy scabs. And one day she was really mean to me, and I just thought, right, sod this. And I just scratched them all off. I had loads on my face. I had them on my arms. I just scratched them all off. Hence, I've got quite a few chickenpox scars. And of course, it was no skin off her nose because I'm the one left with the scars. But realizing that I did that because it was my reaction in the moment to something she'd done to me, it made me really... I don't know. It just brought to me in that moment that I used to overeat in very similar situations. So she put me on a diet first when I was age 7. And it was very clear to me from very young that my body was not what she would want it to be. And then coupled with all the pictures that we see, it was quite clear to me that my body was not acceptable. I was always a fat kid, and that's fine. I don't mind the word fat. I'm quite happy to reclaim that word fat. That's fine. But it made me understand that I would sometimes overeat to spite my mother.
Yeah.
I've always known I don't eat because I'm hungry. I don't overeat when I'm hungry. I overeat because there are emotions going on. And I think what it has helped me see is that it's almost helped me separate it out a little bit. That I always used to think I ate because I was unhappy. But it's really helped me see that, yes, I did eat because I was unhappy. I would sometimes eat because I was happy, but I would also eat out of anger and out of spite. So I was doing it in a way because there's something in me that thought I was doing it because it was against what somebody else wanted me to do. And, all this is all past now, as in my mother's not here anymore. I'm an adult, I'm not a kid. But I think it's just because I still have a relationship with food that could do with a bit more healing. It's much better, much, much better. But my relationship with my body, the way it looks, how I eat, could definitely there's still room for it to change. I don't want to say improvement. There's still room for change. And, but I think it's really helped me. Now, even just closing my eyes, I can almost see it in different compartments. And I think it's going to help me work it out a bit more and help me heal those different go-to patterns. I don't yet know how that's going to pan out, so I'm still working through this. So I'll come back maybe and talk about it again when another level of awareness has come to me, but it's definitely going to help. I know it's going to help, this new awareness I've got. And that has definitely come, I think, because of all this healing we've been talking about.
Oh, isn't that beautiful and unexpected, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, oh, wow. I mean, I got this image of like, it used to all be in one bucket, but now it's parceled out a little bit more. So it's easier to see kind of the specifics or the details about these different buckets. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have found myself a little bit lately, especially when I'm stressed, often with work. But I think there's something underneath the stress, which I haven't really got to, but there is something there. It's probably I'm not good enough or I'm not dealing with this well, but there will be a tendency for me to want something to soothe those feelings. That is very, very familiar to me. And I do recall perhaps about 3 weeks ago feeling like that and saying to and just sort of like hand on my heart saying, it's okay. It's okay that you're feeling like this, as in not shaming myself for feeling whatever that stress was about, and not feeling ashamed that I was wanting, a big bar of chocolate. And just that being kind to myself allowed me to get through that, around that, past it, not quite sure which route I took, without having the big bar of chocolate.
Wow.
Because it really wasn't about wanting to eat something because I'm hungry. It was much more about the feelings. So I think this awareness I've got of these buckets, as you say, might help me see and I probably need something different in different scenarios, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I think it's going to help. I don't yet know how that's going to pan out. But I feel quite excited about that, actually.
I was just going to say that feels exciting.
Yeah, it does. Because, I mean, that's been with, those feelings have been with me for a long time.
Yeah.
They've been with me for nearly 50 years now.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so beautiful. I mean, and it occurs to me, like when you had the realization about like with the chicken pox and the connection there.
Yeah.
I mean, as kids, we don't have a lot of control. But like an area you were able to was like, well, I'm going to scratch then.
Yeah. I'm going to show you.
I'm going to show you. Right. Which, as adults, we can go, oh, well, that hurt you more than it hurt her.
Exactly.
But also there was a part of you that got to rebel, might not be exactly the right word, but it was just like, I'm going to do something against you. Like, I don't have to just do everything you say. Like, here's someplace I don't have to, know. And that
you can't stop me doing this.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I think that's it. You can't stop me doing this. You can stop me eating because you cannot have any food and not feed me, but you cannot stop me scratching all these off. I'll show you. You can't control me. I mean, a lot of it is about control, isn't it? Because I didn't feel like I had much control.
Yes. Yeah. So of course you were reaching for places you could grab some,
Even if it was
of course.
Scratching off my chicken.
Even if it was scratching. 100%. Yeah.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
Ooh,
it's funny and not funny and big.
Yeah.
All wrapped up in one. And, that's what all this stuff is about. It's quite complex, isn't it? And
100%.
Those those epiphanies, those joining dots, those aha moments can seem quite small, but be big.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So get
exciting.
It's been brilliant for us doing this series, hasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm so glad we've done it. It's been great. Yeah, it's
me
been great.
too. Thank you to all the guests. that we've had some really brilliant guests, and I've loved the conversations that we've had in between.
Me too.
I really have. And I think that brings us on to where we might be going next. Do you think?
I think so. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're going to have a break. We're recording this in the middle of July, which will go out at the end of July. And then we're going to have a break because I in particular need a break. We both need a break, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
We do.
And we're modeling that for other people. Like if you need permission to take a break, please hopefully do. We're helping to add into that pile, because the world, I mean, I can't imagine a podcast, any how-tos or marketing about podcasts that says, take a break whenever you need. And yet that's what we continue to do because we're committed to doing what's healthy for us.
Yes.
And, modeling that for other people. So that's what we're doing, taking a break because we need it.
Yeah, because we are committed to this podcast. So in order to keep on producing it, we need to have a rest every now and again. So we are going to have a bit of a break, and we will be back in the middle endish of September. We haven't quite decided the date yet, but we will be back with a new series, because we quite like these sort of theme series, don't we? In the meantime, please do make sure you are subscribed so that when we come back again, the new episode will just drop in your podcast feed. And also, we might drop the odd one. We're not promising we're going to do that, but we might drop the odd one because we love having our conversations.
We do.
We might, something might pop up that we decide we want to release an episode on. But we will be back middle towards the end of September with a new series.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember what we said it was kind of going to be?
Well, yeah, I'll take a stab at it.
We haven't figuring out the words. The title yet.
Yeah, like we know the vibe and we know the feeling. We're working out the words, but we're kind of going back to where we started, which is highlighting the essence of what it is to be an HSP. The essence of that, the strengths that we bring. Yep. We will also be talking about challenges and how we work with those and, all of that. Because, I mean, we both really believe that HSPs are really cool people and we want to help. I mean, these are our clients and this is our community and this is who we are. And for both of us, learning to acknowledge what we bring into the world as an HSP has been life-changing for us. It's part of what we help our clients do. It's changing lives for them. So we're going back and visiting that from a slightly different angle, I think, because we're in a different place. But I'm excited. I'm excited for all these conversations, buzzing excited. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And we're going to be bringing you examples that we're, as we are experiencing. So a bit like Robbie was telling us about her experience away at her parents when she realized that she was holding this space of calm and peace for everybody. We're going to be talking about things like that. So, being completely honest with you, we would like to notice more what we're doing as well. So it ticks that box, but we're going to bring those experiences as we are experiencing them to you so that you can recognize what's happening for you, because, we're really important as highly sensitive people, and we want you to know how you are showing up in your high sensitivity so you can really appreciate it and, do what the good that you're doing and do more of it and not shy 100%. Away from it. Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Yeah. So we're excited. Yeah. We're excited to start this already, but I do need a break. So
yes.
So
yes to all of that.
That's what we're going to be back with. And it's going to be great. It's going to be exciting. So yeah, I think, is there anything else? I think that might be it for today.
I think we've done it for today. I've really enjoyed this series. It's been fun. I didn't realize it would be this long. And I'm so glad it was. Like, it was great. And I'm excited for our next series.
Yeah, me too. So I think that's it for today. So remember, especially in line with what's coming, what our next series is going to be, remember there is great strength in your sensitivity.
Yeah. And the world needs you to be who you are.
Indeed.
So that's bye from me.
And it's bye from me.
Thanks for listening to HSP Connection. If you've enjoyed listening, we'd love you to hit the follow or subscribe button, as this helps other people find us. And it also means you won't miss an episode.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you could rate the podcast and share it with anyone you think might be interested. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, you can also leave us a review.
To get in touch with us, you can email us at hspconnectionpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you with your thoughts and comments on the episodes, as well as suggestions for future topics and guests.
We are both HSP coaches and speakers. And to find out more about Robbie, go to RobbieLeigh, leigh.com.
And to find out more about Philippa, go to boldhsp.com. See you next time.